Who is the lover?
Allah.
Who is Ar-Rahman?
Allah.
Who is Al-Mannan?
La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger, Allah is our return. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger, Allah is our return. La ilaha illallah,
Muhammadur Rasulullah.
La ilaha illallah,
Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
The three major Abrahamic religions are, in chronological order of founding, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Islam arose in Arabia in the 7th century AD with a strictly unitary view of God. Muslims, or the followers of Islam, typically hold the Quran to be the ultimate authority as revealed through the teachings and practices of a central but not divine prophet. Islam has two main branches, Sunni and Shia, each having a number of denominations. Jerusalem, the city of David and Christ, became holy to the Muslims, third after Mecca and Medina. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, which translates to farthest mosque in Surah Al-Isra in the Quran, and surroundings are addressed in the Quran as the Holy Land. For Muslims, Abraham is a prophet, the messenger of God who stands in the line from Noah to Muhammad. Islam is based on the teachings of the Quran, although it considers Muhammad to be the seal of the prophets. Islam teaches that every prophet preached Islam, providing a historical backstory for the religion by co-opting Jewish and Christian prophets and adding others such as Cyrus the Great and Al-Qidr. There is only one God in Islam. Allah is the Arabic name for God. Islamic tradition also describes the 99 names of God. These 99 names describe attributes of God, including most merciful, the just, the peace and blessing, and the guardian. Islamic belief in God is distinct from Christianity in that God has no progeny. This belief is summed up in chapter 112 of the Quran titled Al-Ikhlas, which states, saying, He is Allah who is one. Allah is eternal, the absolute. He does not beget nor was he begotten, nor is there to him any equivalent.
Muslims believe the Quran to be a flawless record of the angel Gabriel's revelation to Muhammad from 610 until his death in 632 AD. It is also believed to be a perfect copy of a heavenly Quran that has existed eternally. The revelation was put in writing shortly after Muhammad's death to preserve the content from corruption, but it is still regarded as most authentic when recited aloud. Professional reciters of the Quran are held in very high esteem and have often been influential in deciding matters of doctrine or policies. The Quran is roughly the length of the Christian New Testament. It is divided into 114 surah or chapters. Each surah has a heading, which usually incorporates the following elements. First, a title taken from a prominent word in the surah, but one that does not usually represent its overall content. Second, the basmala, a formula prayer. Third, an indication as to whether it was received by Mecca or Medina. Fourth, the number of verses in the surah. The verses or ayat also vary in length, with the shortest usually found in the earlier surahs. In these verses, the form closely resembles the rhyme prose of the seers of Muhammad's time. The later verses are more detailed and less poetic. Most of the Quran is written in the first person plural, with God as a speaker. When Muhammad himself speaks, his words are introduced by say. To clarify, he is being commanded by Allah to speak.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help.
The 5 pillars of Islam are the 5 basic acts in Sunni Islam, considered obligatory by believers. The Quran presents them as a framework for worship and a sign of commitment to the faith. They are Shahada or Islamic creed, Salah or daily prayers, Zakat or almsgiving, Saum or fasting during Ramadan, and Hajj or the pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. The first in 5 pillars of Islam is the Shahada. The Shahada is the declaration of faith is done by professing that there is only one God but Allah and that Muhammad is God's messenger. The Shahada is a set statement normally recited in Arabic. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, which means that I testify that there is no God except Allah and I testify that Muhammad is a messenger of God. The second in the 5 pillars of Islam is the Salah or the Islamic prayer. Salah consists of 5 daily prayers according to the Sunnah. The names are according to the prayer times. Fajr in the morning, Zuhr at noon, Asr during the afternoon, Maghrib after sunset, and Isha late evening or before we sleep. The Fajr prayer is performed before sunrise. Dhuhr is performed in the midday after the sun has surpassed its highest above you. Asr is the evening prayer before sunset. Maghrib is the evening prayer after sunset, and Isha is the night prayer. All of these prayers are recited while facing the Kaaba in Mecca. The prayer is accompanied by a series of set positions including bowing with hands on knees, standing, prostrating, and sitting in a special position. The third in the 5 pillars of Islam is the Zakat or almsgiving.
The definition of zakah is very simple. It is an amount of wealth or a percentage of your wealth to be distributed to certain needy people once your wealth reaches above a certain threshold. That's it. Of course, there are some other conditions related to that. For example, this wealth is to be taken in certain times and to be distributed in a certain way. As simple as this.
The last in the 5 pillars of Islam is the Hajj. It is a pilgrimage that occurs during the Islamic month of Dhu al-Hijjah to the holy city of Mecca. Every able-bodied Muslim is obliged to make the pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime. When the pilgrim is around 10 kilometers from Mecca, he must dress in ihram clothing, which consists of 2 white sheets. Both men and women are required to make the pilgrimage to Mecca. After a Muslim makes the trip to Mecca, he or she is known as Hajj or Hajjah. The main rituals of the Hajj including walking 7 times around the Kaaba, touching the black stone, traveling 7 times between Mount Safa and Mount Marwa, and symbolically stoning the devil in Mina.
to be a Muslim.
Two forms of the pilgrimage exist. The Umrah is the lesser pilgrimage, taken alone or in small groups at any time of the year. The greater pilgrimage, the Hajj, always begins on the 8th day of Dhul-Hijjah, the 12th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. Nearly 2 million Muslims take part. For a week prior to the Hajj, pilgrims flock to Saudi Arabia, eager to join in Islam's holiest rite.
5 pillars of Islam is a Sawm, or fasting during Ramadan. There are 3 types of fasting that are recognized by the Quran. These are the ritual fasting, fasting as compensation for repentance, and ascetic fasting. Ritual fasting is an obligatory act during the month of Ramadan. Muslims must abstain from food and drink from dawn to dusk during this month, and are to be especially mindful of other sins. Fasting is necessary for every Muslim that has reached puberty unless he or she suffers from a medical condition which prevents him or her from doing so.
Ramadan, also known as Ramazan or Ramazan. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Muslim lunar year, which is celebrated from beginning to end as holy. In fact, many regard it as the holiest time of the Muslim year. The principal outward characteristic of Ramadan is that Muslims are expected to fast all day, every day. Traditionally, the times of fast are marked as whenever a white thread can be distinguished from a black thread. Once thread can no longer told apart, eating is permitted. Fasting during Ramadan is considered one of the 5 pillars, meaning it is one of the 5 most basic acts which a Muslim has to do. However, it is not accurate to say that everyone simply goes without food nor water. There are quite a few rules which applies to it. For one thing, a Muslim must consciously formulate the intention to fast as part of a rite. This is to prevent fasting from becoming an empty symbol which people do not give much thought to. The formula reads, "To fast tomorrow to actuate my duties towards God of fasting Ramadan this year." Hilal, or the beginning of Ramadan, is typically a day after the astronomical new moon. Since the new moon indicates the new beginning of the new moon, Muslims can usually safely estimate the beginning of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is the one in which the Quran was sent down. Right guidance to mankind and clear signs of guidance and distinction of truth from falsehood. Those among you who witness it, let him fast therein. Whoever is sick or on a journey, then a number of other days, God desires ease for you and desires not hardship. Thus, may you fulfill the number of days assigned, magnify God for having guided you, and perhaps you will be thankful. It becomes compulsory for Muslims to start fasting when they reach puberty, so long as they are healthy, sane, and have no disability or illnesses. The elderly, the chronically ill, and the mentally ill are exempted from fasting, although the first 2 groups must endeavor to feed the poor in place of their missed fasting. Also exempt are pregnant women if they believe it would be harmful to them or the unborn baby, women during the period of menstruation, and women nursing their newborns. The holiday of Eid al-Fitr marks the end of the fasting period of Ramadan and the first day of the following month, after another new moon has been sighted. The Eid falls after 29 or 30 days of fasting per lunar sighting. Usually, a special celebration is made. Food is donated to the poor, everyone puts on their best, usually new clothes, and communal prayers are held in every morning, followed by feasting and visiting relatives and friends.
لا إله إلا الله